Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a deep dive into hypertension, but probably not in the way you're used to thinking about it. We're going to explore some fascinating research that reframes high blood pressure not as a disease, but as a really important signal from your body. A signal we can actually learn to answer with what we put on our plates.
So, let's start with a number. 51%. What's that? Well, that's the percentage of people with hypertension who are considered salt-sensitive. It's a pretty wild statistic because it proves right off the bat that when it comes to diet, one size absolutely does not fit all.
So that leads to a huge question. What if we've been looking at high blood pressure all wrong? I mean, what if that number on the cuff isn't the problem at all, but just a symptom? Today, we're diving into some really compelling research that asks us to see it that way, as a signal of something deeper, and to explore how nutrition might just hold the key.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we're going to redefine what hypertension really is. Then we'll take a look inside our arteries to see what's actually going on. After that, and this is the really cool part, we'll open up the nutritional pharmacy and we'll wrap it all up by building a practical health blueprint.
All right, let's kick things off with that really big idea. We need to rethink the problem itself.
This quote, this just completely flips the script, doesn't it? It's arguing that high blood pressure isn't the disease. Nope, it's the result. It's the body's correct but ultimately damaging response to decades of what this paper calls insults to the blood vessel.
Okay, so to really get what that response is all about, we have to look deeper. We've got to go inside our arteries and see what's happening on a biological level.
You know, it all starts right here with something called endothelial dysfunction. Now, that sounds super technical, I know, but just think of the endothelium as the smooth, Teflon-like lining of your blood vessels. When that lining gets damaged, it's like a tiny crack in the foundation that kicks off a whole chain reaction of problems.
And this slide really lays out the whole story. On one side, you've got the infinite insults, things like a bad diet, stress, you name it. In the middle, you see the body's finite responses. It's fighting back with its limited toolkit, which includes inflammation and oxidative stress. You can think of that as a kind of cellular rust. And over a long time, as you can see on the right, this constant battle just wears down the vessels, leading to the stiffness that we measure as high blood pressure.
So if the root of the problem is all this biological damage, could the solution also be found in biology? This is where the research gets incredibly powerful, because it reframes the food we eat as a kind of pharmacy. I mean, just look at this. This slide is a total game changer. It shows how certain foods have compounds that actually work on the very same biological pathways as major blood pressure drugs. For example, look at ACE inhibitors. Then look at what's on the other side. Garlic, pomegranate. You see calcium channel blockers? Well, magnesium and omega-3s can act in a similar way. This is showing us that food can literally speak the same language as pharmacology. Okay, so let's zoom in on a few of the most powerful tools in this nutritional pharmacy. The research points to several key players that have some really strong science behind them.
Wow, this visual really puts the whole problem into perspective. Just look at that scale. Our ancestors' diet was incredibly low in sodium and just packed with potassium. We've completely flipped that ratio on its head. Our modern diet has created this huge biological mismatch that our ancient genes just don't know how to handle.
And here's the kicker. This tells us that the whole conversation can't just be about cutting salt. The evidence is so clear. We have to actively increase our potassium. It's just as critical, maybe even more so, for protecting our hearts and, well, living longer. Here's another really fascinating piece of the puzzle. Q10. You could think of it as the spark plug for our cells. It's absolutely crucial for energy. And the research shows this incredible link. People with hypertension are 6 times more likely to be deficient in it. That really suggests it's vital for a healthy vascular system. And the data backs this up in a big way. Clinical trials show that supplementing with CoQ10 can lower blood pressure by an average of 15 points systolic and 10 points diastolic. Now, if you know anything about cardiology, you know those are not small numbers. That is a huge deal.
All right, now for some good news, especially if you happen to be a chocolate lover. Turns out the powerful antioxidants in cocoa, they're called polyphenols, have been shown again and again to help relax blood vessels and improve that critical endothelial function we talked about earlier. And how about garlic? Check this out. This number, a drop of 10.2 mmHg, was the average reduction in systolic blood pressure seen in a study on garlic extract. After just 12 weeks, people saw a significant reduction, which just goes to show how a common food can have a really powerful biological effect.
Okay, so we've gone through all this amazing science, but what do we actually do with it? What does it all mean for our daily lives? Let's put it all together and build that blueprint.
So here it is. This slide brings it all home. It's the comprehensive, integrated approach that the paper proposes. And you'll notice it's not about finding one magic bullet, right? It's about rebalancing that crucial sodium-potassium intake, focusing on high-quality proteins and fats, considering some key supplements based on the evidence, and then tying it all together with exercise and other healthy lifestyle choices. It's a whole system approach.
This final quote, man, it really puts everything into such a profound context. Genetically, we're basically walking around with the same operating system as our Paleolithic ancestors. But our food environment, it's changed at light speed. And that fundamental mismatch is at the very heart of this entire issue.
So all of this leads to one final, powerful question. What's the most important prescription you're going to fill today? Because this research really shows us that food isn't just fuel, it's information. It can either be one of those insults to our system or it can be a powerful part of the solution. The choice of what we put on our plate might just be the most important health decision we make all day.